Hey everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger. I'd like to welcome you to this week's KFIR Middle East Update. I want to encourage you to make sure to go to our website at holygroundexplorations.com to access the PDF and the PowerPoint that comes along with this video presentation. Especially this week, because at the very end we're excited about some new products that we have available, kind of Israeli witness wear, and some of the designs are put on the PowerPoint for you to be able to take a look at. So check it out. Again, holygroundexplorations.com. Well, the headlines this week, this, by the way, is the week of December 14th. The headlines. First off, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, it's a taxpayer-funded aid organization, is giving $100,000 in federal grant to an Islamic charity that has been banned in Israel because of the fact that they give aid to Hamas and other terrorist organizations. Again, I just want to stress the importance of you understanding that Hamas is a militant organization that does nothing for its citizens, no schools, no universities, no employment, and no health care, etc. And yet, we're giving taxpayer money, $100,000 in a donation. Moving on, it seems like being anti-Israel is one of the prerequisites for a place in Obama's White House. President Obama has appointed a second-generation anti-Israel activist and former Iran deal negotiator Robert Malley as his senior advisor on the counterinsurgency campaign against, as Obama calls it, ISIL. Malley should know much about terrorism, as his dad was very close friends with Yasser Arafat. And so just keep your ears open, keep your eyes and ears open. Moshe Yaalon is the current Secretary of Defense, I guess you would say, in Israel. And he made this statement. I think it's important because we're going to hear more and more about the failed two-state solution and the blame being on Israel, and especially through Obama and Kerry. This is his quote. He says, "It's no secret that we don't agree with the Americans on everything. If we would have implemented Kerry's plan for security, which he passed over to us about a year ago, then today there would be mortar shells falling on Ben Gurion Airport." And then finally, just as we continue kind of with the headlines, a recent poll has just come out. 67, that's about 2/3, of Palestinians believe that stabbing attacks are justified. These same 2/3 believe that an armed intifada would serve the Palestinians' national interest more than any kind of face-to-face negotiations with Israel. Now, on just one of those notes that you have to hear because you have to understand the demonic aspects of jihadists. Protective Edge, we've brought groups to Israel that serves on IDF bases, and one of the bases that we served on, we happened to meet this person that I'm going to be referring to as part of the Golani Brigade, one of the first in at Protective Edge, who lost his life. And his body remains in the hands of Hamas. And so this is the background. In an apparent effort to leverage Israel into negotiating a prisoner exchange, Hamas recently delivered an emotional written appeal purporting to be slain from the slain IDF officer Oren Shaul, and they sent it to his bereaved parents, in which they're making the statement that he's actually alive and he's begging for his release. Unbelievable at such a time as this. And again, it's important that you understand the depths of this battle. Something to keep your eye on. The Vatican, I don't know what to make out of this, but the Vatican has recently issued an unprecedented declaration that the Jewish people are part of God's salvation without explicitly confessing Jesus Christ as their Savior. I don't know about you, but I'm a bit concerned about that. I wish that would be true, but as we know, the Bible makes it crystal clear that there's one way to God, and it's through Jesus. I wish Jesus wasn't so exclusive, but his word reveals to us that he is. And so I'm more than willing to let God judge Israel, judge the nations, but from my part, I have to be faithful to what God has revealed to me. And so I pray for the salvation of Israel. I pray for the salvation of the Islamic nations, but I pray specifically for Israel that they would come to know their Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus, the Christ. Next up, get ready for Hillary. Interesting, everything that's going on. Just watched the Republican debate last night, and I felt like going and banging my head on a wall somewhere. But Hillary Clinton, when a man from Iowa broke into her riff with a question about how the country could confront a new wave of hate and fear, her response sounded less like that of a commander-in-chief than of a soothing self-help guru. Hillary's words: "We've got to do everything we can to weed out hate and plant love and kindness," and she told a crowd of 700, or several hundred, I should say. The lovey-dovey message seemed surprising, coming from a Washington veteran so battle-hardened that she often quotes Eleanor Roosevelt, her mantra about women in public life needing skin like a rhinoceros. And then just in Alabama, she told lawyers that were celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Montgomery bus boycott that justice means, quote, standing beside in love. In Atlanta, Clinton promised black ministers she had run on a love and kindness platform. And then after Trump said that he would block Muslims from entering the country, her campaign quickly churned out the new catchphrase: love trumps hate. So here we go. Get ready for can't we all just sort of get along? Peace, love, Hillary. Russia. Through Israeli eyes, the question, friend or foe. Russia has begun supplying the S-300 air defense systems to Iran. The S-300 is a series of Russian long-range surface-to-air missile systems, first that were deployed by the Soviet Union in 1979, and they're designated for the air defense of large industrial and administrative facilities and military bases, and to kind of control the airspace against any potential enemy strike aircraft. Those in Israel are basically calling for the government to make up their minds before this system becomes operational. They believe that Israel needs to take decisive action against the Iranian nuclear program. So hang on for that. An intifada to end all intifadas is the next article. An opinion poll among the Arab residents of Judea, Samaria, and Gaza found that an overwhelming majority supports continuing the ongoing terror wave to the so-called bitter end. A full 72% said that they support continuing the Jerusalem Intifada, as it's been termed, until it achieves its goals. The goal of the Intifada terror war, according to 48%, just about half of the Arabs, is the liberation of Palestine, including the conquest and occupation of all of Israel. No less than 44% of the Arab public expressed support for an armed intifada that would include using guns. 18% gave support to the stabbing attacks, and 14% supported attacks about throwing rocks at Israelis. And the question, when will the Israeli government recognize that the removal of all of this enemy population from the Jewish land, that alone is the only thing that will bring peace to Israel? You have to understand, there are no moderates among them. That's sort of the myth or the problem, the sinkhole, I guess you would say, of the Western mindset, that there's these so-called moderates. That's kind of came out in the debate last night, that, you know, we're always looking for the moderate rebels that will fill the vacuums when some of these governments like Assad and Gaddafi and all that are removed, and there's just no such thing. Moderate jihadists are terrorists. Moderate rebels become terrorists. That's what we're facing. Well, speaking about militant Islam coming to America in a big way, the Saudi prince Al-Walid bin Talal, a senior member of the Saudi monarchy, says that he'll pledge his $32 billion to advance the Islamization of America. The Saudis have spent billions already. 80% of the mosques that are built in America are Saudi funded. Islamic groups working to impose Sharia law are largely funded by the Saudis, specifically the Wahhabis. The Wahhabi prince, this Saudi prince, is not going to spend a cent to promote peaceful forms of Islam. And last one up will be what's going on with Hezbollah. Interesting. You know that Hezbollah has been a party to Assad in Syria, and the latest from Israeli officials estimate that 1/3 of Hezbollah's active fighters have been killed or wounded in the Syrian civil war. According to reports based on anonymous sources, between 1,300 and 1,500 Hezbollah fighters have been killed in combat in Syria, and an additional 5,000 have been wounded and are out of commission. And remember, Hezbollah is designated by the U.S. and Israel as a terrorist group, and some believe that they have up to 18,000 full-time and volunteer troops. And so I guess I'm ending on a positive note with that, right? Well, as I said before, hopefully you have the PowerPoint presentation, because we're very excited to announce that we have some product. We're calling it witness wear, Israeli witness wear. And it's a pre-sale. It's just going to be available right now through the end of this year to members of KFIR. So if that's you, you're interested, you'll see that you can email me at dan@hgkfir.com. And you can place an order for t-shirts. You'll see that one of the logos on the front has Jerusalem printed in Hebrew. And underneath in English, it says the undivided eternal capital of Israel. And then, like north face, it gives its coordinates. 31 degrees by north versus by 35 degrees east, along with our logo. And then the back of the t-shirt has a statement that I think is important. It has a list. It says civilizations, empires, and nations and world leaders that have tried to destroy the Jewish people. It starts with Egypt and goes to Philistines, Assyria, Babylonians, and all the way down. And you've probably seen or heard this message before, but it continues. It doesn't just end with Nazi Germany. It continues with the British Empire, the Soviet Union, and then it also includes Hamas, Fatah, Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Iran, and then all of those have check marks, and then there's one question mark, and the question mark is the Obama administration. And then it ends with saying the Jewish people, the smallest of nations, but with a friend in the highest of places. Remember Genesis 12, I'll bless those that bless thee, and I'll curse those that curse thee. Let the record stand. You can see it with your own eyes. And I think it's important for us to take that sort of stand. By wearing a shirt like this, it's going to raise questions because, again, it'll be in Hebrew. People are going to say, well, what's that? I think it's important that we take a stand for Jerusalem, praying for the peace of Jerusalem and realizing in the days to come that it's not going to get any easier. The prophets tell us that Israel will be in the center of the firestorm of the end of days. And if you want to focus in to the epicenter, it is Jerusalem. It will be the Temple Mount. It is the eternal, undivided capital of Israel, right? So check it out. And then also there's a letter from Sharon and I to you all. It talks about the end of the year giving opportunities. We are asking for your support. We do a variety of things, as you know, besides taking people to Israel and offer various types of tours. We have our KFIR program that is a weekly YouTube, which you're watching. We also have close to 500 people that are part of the KFIR Fellowship that receive daily, Monday through Friday, daily devotionals that we send out regarding our Bible reading schedule. We have a group of those that are going through the Torah portions as well. And so when you put all these things together, it's the ministry that God's given us, and we want to encourage you to pray about supporting us. So there's a letter that's simply giving you the opportunity to support Holy Ground explorations. So check that out as well. And so we will have another presentation before Christmas, but we are in the midst of the Christmas season, and so let me wish you a Merry Christmas. May your days truly be merry and bright. And the reason I say bright is because the world is getting pretty dark, and we need to stand as lights in these days. Amen. God bless you. Shalom.